They're now in the first round of the losers bracket on the verge of possibly being knocked out of gold, and I say that very likely because they're matching up against Recent Gaming, a team that just lost to BMG, of course, but a team that definitely is a team to reckon with. Knowing that one of those two teams is still crazy, knowing that one of those two teams is actually going to be bumped down to the gold division. Can't get over that. But obviously we got a match here, and for good reason. And, of course, there's always joined by Mini-Maga here, but man, oh man, that's hopefully another good series ahead of us. I'm sure we will get one here.
Yeah, man. And, I mean, one thing that's really standing out to me right now is that Silhouette is still on the board. I mean, ProBast has said it time and time again. This hero is incredibly strong, and at times he thinks he's a little bit too overpowered. They haven't banned it here. He's been playing it the last couple of games, and every single game, I think they've won with it. I don't know if Quincy actually has a stat here, but I'd like to know actually how many games that Dawn have had won when they've had Silhouette on the board. I'd assume it's very, very high, even close to 100% at times. But Dawn, yeah, I think Silhouette is going to be picked up here in the next pick because I think BMG will ban it out in the next pick and phase, but I don't think they're going to prioritise it that much. Although they're actually right-clicking a Mage Bane here, actually, with Dr. Upholster on the board. I mean, we never actually see this, but okay, it's going to be our feeling. They might pick up Mage Bane later, but I was going to say, like, in Hon, it just feels like there's a lot of, in terms of the competitive scene, there's a lot of heroes that get picked up, and they do have a lot of counters in terms of just, you know, quote-unquote normal hero picks, but we never actually see it. Like, we always see Dr. Repulsor, we never really see, like, Riptide or Moria or Mage Bane in this case, and I don't see why not. Like, Dr. Repulsor, you saw in the last couple of games, he's had such a big impact. Like, if you have one hero that completely sort of shuts him down, then why not pick it up? I know it doesn't really fit in the meta in that respect, but yeah. I think it can work very, very well. So we'll have to see if we're going to see. Yeah,
something like a Bloodhunter even. I mean, Bloodhunter has potential to be pretty powerful, you know, with obviously with the single target silence, the hemorrhage can be effective just in general, and good against squishies. You already got like a Rhapsody, a Parasite over here, Health Doctor himself. It's going to be fairly squishy until later on in the game, you know, maybe once he's bulked up, but yeah, so that could be a possibility. I do kind of agree with you there. But for the time being, you know, the Ophelia, Bubbles, Magnus coming out here for Rexars. Look at the initial bans, by the way, too. Kind of interesting. Keeper of the Forest and then Kraken taken out by Tinkafet. You had Swiftblade and Cthulhu taken out by Labyrinth, of course, Captain for Dawn. So, but that Keeper ban coming out, and he right away Yellow Rexar making his emotions felt about that. But so they've, I know they at least, obviously, they ran at the last, I think they ran at both games, if I'm not mistaken, against they ran Keeper of the Forest against Willowkeeper, so banned out here.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they had Affiliate Keeper and they had Keeper Tempest.
That's right, yeah. So BMG is like, yeah, we watched at least. We went over the results. We made sure you're not going to get the. How about these next tier bans, too? Dark Lady, Pebbles, Silhouette, Tundra, Malakin. So they're like, hey, Probusk, we're not going to let you get a comfortable hero here, at least as much as we can do that.
And that's why I'm a little bit surprised they didn't actually pick up Silhouette in the third pick, because I said he had such a great success with it. ProBoss, if he was so comfortable with the hero, he always plays it into him, and whenever I see him play, it's the Silhouette. Like, it's his comfort factor, it's his signature hero almost. It's starting to be. And for them to pick up the Ophelia, I mean, I guess it could have been banned out if they weren't. You know, if they didn't pick up in the third phase, but obviously BMG picked up their jungle already, so I don't know. I guess they probably know their team and how to sort of draft a lot better than us, and sort of giving comments on it here. But it'd be interesting to see what kind of carry hero that Progress is going to be on, seeing as, like you said, all those heroes were targeted at him, so it'd be interesting.
Yeah. Again, worth noting here, the other series, Sync versus Night Raid, actually is being casted by Lash over there, Lash Videos, twitch.tv/Lash Videos, of course. You can check out that series if you are interested, but of course, BMG versus Dawn, the one that we are covering here on Honcast. But those are the only two matches going on. The losers bracket will be tomorrow. I think it's safe to say we know which first round matchup we're going to be going with. The Reason versus Willowkeeper down there, but again, that's tomorrow. I'll keep going back to today now. Vindicator coming out for BMG. Interesting, because they do have the Doctor. How are these lanes going to look here?
It's going to be Vindicator, Rhapsody mid, or Rhapsody, Dr. Pulsar mid. And actually, I love this draft. And it's because, to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of Pharaoh, but we're starting to see him picked up a lot more. I don't know why, but we've seen him picked up more. And with Pharaoh, it offers the initiation, something we always used to have in terms of the dual mid. You either had like a Pebbles mid, you had like a Pestilence, Ravenol. Like, you always had your initiator in the middle row. But with Pharaoh, it gives you the initiation to have on the suicide lane. Obviously, the Wrath of the Pharaoh gives his own inbuilt initiation without portal key, so he doesn't need a lot of farm. And because of that, it opens up.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Propus got his wish. I love it.
Yeah. they don't even need to go on, really, because I just saw that and I was like,
man.
okay.
So the point you were making, though, about the Vindicator pick and
so I just think that, like, there's no need to have a mid sort of initiator if you've got the Pharaoh. So in that case, you can pick up like a strong ranged hero to sort of supplement it instead. And we're going to see the Vindicator here, and it can work well against against dual lanes. And also, it frees up another lane to farm with, which sometimes you don't need if you've got that initiator on the Suicide Laurel, which we do have here with Pharaoh. But more to the fact, Brokey, Nighthound here. I'm excited to see how it's going to work, honestly, because wait, is that? They're not going to remake because they didn't.
No,
they actually meant to pick.
I think that because they're swapping around. I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with Nighthound. Yeah, I think they were just saying that. I was like, no way, no, come on.
Yeah,
please.
I was like, please.
So I'm pretty sure they're still going to play Nighthound. But exactly, Probuzz, he's been on back-to-back podcasts. He's brought it up both times. We happen to talk about heroes that maybe are underpowered or underrated even in the end. And he feels Nighthound is one of those heroes. So he's going to show us here what his potential's like. Now, it is worth noting things like, at least I'm fairly certain that's how it works, Vindicator Silence, when that is used, he will come out of Invis, being the global. So he will be seen while that silence is up, I believe, unless I'm for some reason mistaken by that. But I believe that's how it works. Not that that's a big deal necessarily, but it's still worth noting when it comes to that. But Smoke Cloud, hey, you talked about silence good against the Dr. Pulsar. Smoke Cloud, it's not your maybe go-to. But at the same time, it'll be a great silence against him. It's huge, a huge radius at level 4, so that'll be. I gotta think. I'm sitting here. I guess what I'm doing is going over the logic here of that Nighthound pick and trying to make reason of it, outside of just him wanting to play it. So I mean, there definitely is logic, though.
Yeah, I mean, but what I'm really interested to see though is to see how Nighthound's going to be played in the competitive scene. I don't think we've seen Nighthound on Honcast or competitive scene. I'm not too sure that you might know, Breaky.
Fae v Nighthound is all that comes to mind.
Okay, yeah. So it's been a very, very long time since that. Yeah, but I mean, and it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work though, because in TMM it works all the time. I mean, like that's because obviously teams are uncoordinated. They probably don't have wards. They don't have dust or anything to really counter him. And in this case, it's just going to be interesting to see how Dawn are going to play around it. Are they going to hard carry with him? Are they going to sort of roam around and gank with him? Because I honestly don't know. I'm not obviously. I mean, obviously I'm familiar with the hero, but in terms of the competitive scene, I've barely ever seen it played. I've never really played it myself or drafted it in my own team. So it's just going to be a good insight to sort of see how they're going to use it. But one thing I don't think we really mentioned too much, but I just got brought up here. Just got messaged by someone. Tree and Reason, one of those teams are going to go to gold breaking next cycle.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
What the hell, man? Like that's crazy.
To think. I mean, not to take away from the other loser bracket series too. I mean, Prime Icarus and Nullstar definitely should be a solid one, and one of those two teams, for that matter, are obviously going to be knocked down eventually. But it's crazy stuff. That's how it lined up, though.
And one little bit of thing I'd like to say as well is that I think Casey brought up a good point. Actually, I saw in chat that Tree and Reason have been scrimming against each other for the last 2 weeks. Funny enough that both of these teams are the ones that drop down to the loser bracket, and secondly, both of these teams are the ones who are going to be fighting against each other. So these teams have been scrimming for the last 2 weeks every single day. So I mean, they definitely know each other. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to that loser bracket.
That has to be the best round 1 losers bracket matchup we've ever had. I mean, that has to be, because it's not often we get a matchup like that, but. It is what it is. So, okay, they needed to swap things around. Yeah, I'm checking double. I'm sure Probuzz will end up with the Nighthounds. Yeah. Here in the end, but just make sure they do it. I think it was Yellow Rexstar and Labyrinth swapping their heroes in the end.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the reason why we don't see Nighthound a lot is because it is kind of a TMM hero in that sense. Because against good teams, they're going to have dust, they're going to have eyes, they're going to have rev wards. Yeah. They're not going to get picked off by the Nighthound ganks. And they're going to have coordination to really shut him down as well. Like, he's not the greatest of sort of farmers either, so in that respect, he'll need to get those kills. And if he can't get those kills, which I've stated before, he's going to have a tough fight in the lane. But that being said, he has great burst potential, and that smoke bomb is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Particularly against Dr. Repulsor, he's going to be slowed and silenced for as long as the duration is in there. So he's going to have a very, very tough time, actually. And, I mean, I'm all for new picks, Breaky. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we are definitely all for so. Yet again, add another hero onto that list that we just have not seen yet in Han Tour Season 3, let alone, in this case, a very long time, as I was pointing out. As far as Honcast is concerned, that's the only thing that comes to mind. I can't think of anything more recent. And that was before Han Tour even existed. So Yeah, Nighthound not your usual pick, but you do bring up good logic for that. You know, with the dust, the rev boards, it seems like there is good reason we're in the top tier level, and especially in a matchup like this. BMG is going to be prepared. They're not going to be like, oh, we just simply forgot about dust. That's not going to happen. So it's how does he play around that is the big question here. Again, his ultimate does give him agility now, too. That is worth noting.
It got nerfed a little bit though as well, didn't it? After not a recent patch, but it was nerfed. It was like incredibly strong in Team M, so I think the balance team had to sort of tone down a little bit, and that's why Probass was asking to sort of get buffs. But I'd like to ask Quincy. I mean, have we seen Nighthound in Diamond Division so far? I'd assume we haven't, just because it's kind of a crazy pickup. But I think Quincy will have the stats. I don't think
we would have heard about it. Like, there's no way. Yeah.
So +1 for versatility and the variety in the hero pool, I guess.
Yeah.
We are going to see him actually babysat here by the Empath, actually, with Ophelia in the jungle as well. So it's going to be a solo Bubbles mid and a Suicide Magnus. I'm kind of surprised. I'd expect the Suicide Bubbles to be sort of matched up against Dr. Repulse, because Dr. Repulse are incredibly strong against melees, and seeing as sort of Bubbles is maybe a little bit of a stronger Suicide laner, and Magnus can handle his own in the middle lane. That being said, obviously, he is actually going to be, or he was going to be going against a 1v2, so maybe in this matchup it does make sense for him to go Suicide. So, but that being said, he's going to have a hard time against Dr. Repulsor. So, I mean, Nighthound definitely would have to have a strong start here if Dawn were going to come out strong in this game.
Labyrinth almost died. He was one auto attack from away from death, but he does barely survive, and that is that, I guess. How about, by the way, did I miss that? Apparently Vindicator is 7-0. In games in Han Tour,
no way.
He is undefeated in Han Tour. I was not aware of that. Chat was pointing that out. I guess Quincy did make mention of that in the draft there. So how about Vindicator being a very solid option? Yeah, there you go.
He is. Wow.
In Han Tour Season 3, he's undefeated.
When we saw it in, I think it was College of Calderbar, like, I was saying how much I love this hero, and it did work, but it kind of had a little bit of varying sort of success. But in Han Tour, 107 games. That is a lot of games, to be fair.
In a little bit of trouble. Vagabond Leader does not have any mana for the nuke. That could be a difference maker. Out comes the smoke cloud, though, slowing a little bit right there. Pharaoh, this is definitely going to be death. It's a matter of time, though. Probosk ends up getting it. And Zebe did really all that he could. Obviously, good cutoff from Ophelia. Not giving him a chance. I mean, Zebe in the first place was pretty far pushed up, to be fair. And that's extra dangerous, especially going against an Ophelia in his own jungle.
I mean, the biggest thing, though, is this lane ward here placed by Empath. Like, when you have a lane ward in the short lane, it's so much easier to gank, because once he goes past sort of these tree lines, which you can easily see, he's in danger of Ophelia. He doesn't have any kind of ward of sights, except for this one over here on the right. So if Ophelia is off the map, he's definitely in trouble of falling here as well. And actually, Ophelia is sort of in the area, but he's just going to go back to farming as well. So. Yeah. But yeah, this lane ward here is paid itself in dividends without a doubt. It doesn't have a room ward though, but it's not the biggest of deals because they're running a solo mid, so the room control isn't the biggest factor. Ophelia can go at sort of the 2 minutes sort of spawn as well if he needs to, even send a creep over. So I think actually the ward placement here in the short lane is the better choice than having a room ward. So, and already it's paying off because it did get the first blood. So congratulations.
Magnus here, you see at the bottom lane, that's a creep lane pushed up to the tower, so Yellow Rexar gets a good fight. It's been a while since we've seen a Suicide Magnus, honestly. It feels like it has been, at least. Not usually ran on the Suicide nowadays, but being ran here by Yellow Rexar. And, only 5-0 creep farm, but he's level 3. Dr. Pulsar, of course, still having a very good time. Haxrin, he's coming off, according to you, and I guess I'll believe it.
Sure,
back-to-back Annihilation games. One being a Doctor and one being a Swiftblade. And nonetheless, even if we didn't get both of them were fantastic games by him.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
And it happened to play the Doctor as well. So you see Magnus with actually been stunning in, applying a little bit of harassment with the creep wave.
But yeah, you can see the CS though. Like I said, I heard Dr. Repulsor is going to have a stronger time against melees, and he's clearly shown it here against Magnus as well. So, actually top lane though, Pharaoh
is in trouble again. Mummy walls are up, but here comes the smoke cloud once again from Nighthound. Kind of cutting him off right there. Now he's not attacking from the back necessarily, so not taking advantage of the backstep. There we go, though. Kicks in, and there's the leap. Pounce, whatever it is, to get the kill on his
5 on a chick, yeah.
That's, 2 kills help with that. That's not good news. And I was actually going to say as well, Nighthound, kind of fun thing with him, too. He's a hero that could really like an item like a Nullfire Blade because of the scaling of agility, the power of it to keep him on top of other heroes. And
you can purge dust off yourself as well. So
very true.
It's a good item pickup to have.
The agility gain, obviously very good for the backstep ability if it's with that passive on top of it. He actually buys a, okay, that's for Steam Boots right there. I was going to say maybe for that, but no, that makes sense. Get in the Steam Boots early on. Not surprising there. He also has an empath that he's going to be able to have, as one and with her ultimate, so nothing to keep in mind here as far as that's concerned. So yeah, he's off to a fantastic start. I mean, Zibbe's still going up there. It's understandable. Like, not really many other options here, but he needs to be extra careful now. Well, already with the 2 deaths. He does not give more to him. And again, how aggressive he's playing up right there. It's almost as if he knows where Ophelia is. He might have a good idea, but now he's going to fall back.
Yeah, I mean, this water slide does actually sort of see vision, so if he's not at this hard camp, you have to assume he's going to be on the other hard camp, but I think Ophelia... Oh my gosh, man, my voice is gone.
That's a crazy games, man.
I'm sorry,
got some water with you?
I got water, but it's not. I said I had a little bit of a bad throat already, but I'll power through. Hopefully,
we'll get this. I'm sure it'll hang in there. Zibbe has not played Pharaoh before in Hunters 3. So might not be the most experienced with the heroes, Quincy points out. That is a good point to bring out. And that's what I'll say, though. It's not many other options, but he is going to head all the way towards the bottom here. I mean, they have a jungler in Parasite, so it's not like he could just really jungle necessarily, but I guess maybe he's just going to do a creep pull here. Okay. He comes all the way to the bottom to creep pull for Dr. Repulsor. I guess it's better than dying at the top lane, right? So making the best of his time right here. And actually effectively pulls it right there. So he's level 3. He'll probably at least hit level 4 right there, if not even a little bit more. So it's good to see for him. How's Vindicator doing, by the way? Vindicator, I assume, is doing pretty good. 28 and 13. Yeah, about 285 gold per minute. Doing much better than Bubbles, of course. He's only 7 and 1 currently. That'll happen, though, in a 2v1 lane. But Nighthound, the talk of the town, not only with 2 hero kills, but because he's Nighthound after all. He gets the Iron Shield. I mean, it's not surprising to see that necessarily. But again, another reason why scale's even extra on him because of his backstab, remember? So he is maxing out the Pounce first. Again, always intrigued to kind of see skill builds, especially on heroes we just never really see on the competitive scene. So, but I don't think that's anything too crazy. I mean, getting all the way down to 5 seconds. The great thing about that Pounce, I mean, obviously the offensive use for it is the best part, but you can use it defensively too, to pounce to teammates, to get away or whatever. We most certainly, I'm sure, could even see that once or twice here in this game. Magnus just uses Eruption on the Ancients, by the way. They're doing their best to finish these off. It's not easy. Even with the Eruption, they're still tanking quite a bit, so going to take a little bit longer than I'm sure they would like, but once they clean those up, Magnus will have some pretty good farm to work with. So, movement in this game, I mean, Pharaoh, obviously, he's still kind of under level. Parasite is level 6, though. We haven't really seen Tankafed do too much yet. If anything, as far as being a Parasite, he's been in his jungle. You think there's a whole lot he can be doing, or?
I think we'll have to wait till Pharaoh gets level 6, because Dr. Pulse isn't really going to leave the lane because he needs to get the farm. Vindicator can't really gank because obviously he's more of a team fight hero, not like you're like Initiate like Pebbles. If we're going to see any action or sort of rotation, it's going to be from the Parasite and Pharaoh needs to get level 6 before that really happens because he can't really gank without the Wrath of the Pharaoh. So expect the ganks to start happening when Pharaoh gets level 6, and he's very, very close to it as well.
Yeah.
It's just very hard for him because he can't really creep up because he doesn't want to die again. He's already given 2 kills away to Probus, and he's been farming out of his mind as well. But here comes the push from Ophelia. So if this T1 tower does go down, at least he'll be able to get level 6 and then maybe rotate and start ganking from there.
Yeah, that's definitely something to bring up, too. I mean, I know we've been talking a good amount of Probus, but for good reason. And you know, when he was with Resync Gaming, and hell, even before that, even with Sync Esports, he never played the carry role. He was more of the ganker role for the most part. And, you know, with this team now with Dawn, he's been playing. He's their go-to carry player. And, you know, you see Quincy kind of pointing out right there. Not the most experienced so far throughout Hunter Season 3, but has 4 games in total, including a couple of games against Dawn, or, well, he saw last game. But middle lane in the meantime, Kelfield comes out. There's the Vindicator final chapter. Here comes the Wild Hunter Parasite. But no, not in time. In fact, Magnus goes back in after the silence. Does wear off, and down goes Vindicator, but at what cost? Nighthound jumping in. He's in trouble, though. He gets pulled back in by Dr. Pulsar. He has another leap to use. He uses on his teammate, as I said earlier, defensively right there. And now Dr. Pulsar gets caught out. Hacks Amanda falling here. Couple more auto attacks. He's just out of range. The courier goes down in the meantime in an awkward spot. He's trying to get away with a ludicrous speed, but it's not going to be enough. And Labyrinth picks him off right there. So the numbers well in favor of our Hellborn side as they don't lose anyone, obviously. They did lose their courier, but I think they're overall pretty happy. In fact, Magnus going back in. There is a TP, but look at how fast Pharaoh's dropping right here. That smoke cloud making it so he can't do too much. And actually, the Catman Champion chance a health potion to use just enough to keep alive. Nighthound comes back in, though. They need to be careful with this. He got ported back, obviously, but now he's back, ready to fight. Rhapsody will go down, and look at Nighthound's backstab damage and teamwork as well. What is happening? Don is all of a sudden up 7-1 in hero kills, and they're going to push the middle tower. What just happened, Mini Maggot?
I mean, it's because, what can Vindicator really do? He popped his ultimate, but outside of that, he can't do much. Dr. Pulse is going in, though, as well.
Oh, man, that is risky. Out comes the smoke cloud. I don't know what Action's thinking. He barely gets away. But Pharaoh's going to fall. Yeah, that was a risky play with that smoke cloud ready to be used. Especially, and they lose another team. And it's almost like BMG is just, well, something's not right.
No, but I mean, at the same time, they rotated in. Vindicator can't do too much because obviously he doesn't have any sort of stun and spells. I was talking about how, running Vindicator in the middle lane can work, but he needs to get those early sort of farms up before he can do that. And he just hasn't got the farm. He hasn't really got the items, and we're too early for this to already happen. He hasn't really had too much of an impact in the game. He also used his final chapter, but it just wasn't a big enough impact. Pharaoh wasn't level 6 at the time. And then, Dr. Repulse is kind of the only sort of big factor, and he's not too tanky. And then you've got the Ophelia, you've got the Magnus, you've got Bubbles, all these great team fights that can help out early. And then you've got the massive smoke cloud and the burst potential from Nighthound. I mean, they've just pushed their advantage, and they're like 3 to 4,000 gold up. And, taking a T1 tower this early on with a Nighthound as well, you do not want to give your map control over because he can start ganking, going into the the enemy jungle, and be an absolute nuisance. So giving up the not only the tower is for the gold is a big deal, but giving up the map control, particularly going against a Nighthound, is going to be a hard thing sort of really sort of play around. Seeing as he's 530 GPM as well now, Breaky. BMG the last couple of minutes they've just fallen apart really.
Yeah. Top lane, it's not going to get much better. Pharaoh, in the meantime, is going to be gone on Kelfield, obviously already coming out. You see Nighthound's in the flank just in case. I don't even know if he's going to get away initially. No, he doesn't. Double damage Bubbles, way too much to handle. And the other thing to note, obviously, is he's been in this state for a while here, but Nighthound is invis throughout all this, too. And, he's kind of going around with that invis buff, of course, as a result of his ultimate. So that allows him to be a little bit more active in terms of looking for these kills. And actually, he sees the double stack Ancients here. I wonder if he's going to maybe try to do something maybe with his team here. On the Legion side, he's continuing to kind of just camp this middle lane and maybe waiting to see if anyone pushes in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bubbles and Ophelia head over here, though, and maybe try to ninja these as they push. Yeah, here we go. Bubbles does have that double damage, and Nighthound's still kind of scouting things out. Maybe just even going to go for a gank again. You talked about it. He has so much burst. And I was talking about Bloodhunter being a possibility because he likes the squishies. Nighthound really likes the squishies as well. That pounce on top of the backstab damage, it's ridiculous. You got 120 from the pounce of physical on top of the backstab, which is 186 right there and so on. Let me just look at Vindicator dropping. Shelter hits, and down he goes. The TP not fast enough. So who cares about the Ancients? They get the hero kill. Now, Tankafed actually did get credit for the middle tower, hiding in that ballista, as a Parasite can do. So, again, a little bit of good news there for BMG. But Nighthound, this is another reason why he could be a good carry choice because he could also be very active for you. And now Rhapsody is going to fall. Dr. Pulsar comes in. He pulls in Magnus, but the team support healing up a little bit. He will fall, though, as the tower is too much damage. And Doctor's able to get out of the smoke cloud. And Ludicrous speed away for the time being. So Don needs to be careful not to overextend, though, obviously. And they are going to kind of fall back right here.
Yeah,
keep the push.
Again, though, you saw the sort of how losing that sort of lane control and map control was a big factor. Like Vindicator, he was up here against the river, and if he has a T1 there, he's fine. He can sort of get TB rotations, but Probask sort of stalked him into the jungle, and then the rest of the Dawn came over, and Sukeji got completely jumped, and he just didn't know what was going on. So, this Nighthound pick is kind of surprising BMG. Obviously we talked about how they are experienced players, they know how to deal against Nighthound, but in this competitive sort of scene, they haven't played against it, and I think they're getting taken by surprise. Yes, they might be used to it in terms of team end scene, but actually Vindicator's most likely dropping here again. Actually, Ophelia and Bubbles are rotating over. Yeah,
you see the brain drain coming out right there, but the lockdown from Ophelia is going to be way too much. And Labyrinth does go down, or excuse me, Labyrinth gets credit for the kill. Super KG goes down. Playing the Vindicator. That's another thing worth noting. Super KG, that's not a usual Super KG hero by any means. A right-click hero with a global AoE presence. It's not really scream Super KG when it comes to him as a player. So, I kind of wonder about that a little bit as this game continues to progress on here. Well, in favor of Don. So, and as Quincy pointed out too, hell, Zibby playing the Pharaoh, that's not usually his go-to suicide option. So, maybe the comfort factor playing a little bit of a role here too. But no doubt, at the same time, we talk about this a lot. Speaking of diversity, when you go against a hero like Nighthound, who we never play on the competitive scene against, Sure, plenty of TMM action, I'm sure, but not in that competitive mindset in the tournament mode. It can definitely throw you off a little bit.
Definitely, and obviously, like, they might be playing against it in sort of TMM, but when you've got like a good team, like obviously Dawn are, they've got good coordination. Like, that's even a bigger factor of using Nighthound. They can use it to an even bigger degree. And BMG, they honestly just feel surprised by it. They aren't really ready to. They don't really know how to sort of shut him down. It's 550 GPM. They sent like a Pharaoh against him suicide. He actually wrecked that. And now they've gone into the mid game, and they still don't really know how to lock him down really. And I just think they're a little bit surprised, and a little bit stunned. And this sort of Nighthound and sort of surprise factors is paying a lot of dividends. But one thing I think Dawn should do is they should rotate down here, try and take this tier 1 tower, because then they have more map control and even more sort of use of the Nighthound. But there's the Nullfire Blade picked up actually by Nighthound as well. So.
God, he already has a Nullfire Blade. Jeez, yeah, not even 15 minutes into the game. With the Energizer, there's a lot of build-up too. So, I mean, you look at his, he's hitting for 244, 245 right here. That's pretty ridiculous with that backstab damage. And then again, you throw the pounce on top of that. His burst potential is pretty ridiculous as far as how quickly it can happen. So cleaning up the inches right here with Magnus. Magnus does have his portal key. It looks like Nighthound maybe getting the majority of these. Yeah, so Quincy even going further even to what we were just talking about there with how they only have 16 games played as far as player-hero combinations in total. Out of 180 player games, only 8.9% overall. So yeah, again, goes back to the fact, just comfort factor maybe playing a little bit of a role here too for BMG in a couple cases. But Nighthound cleans it up. He has a level 1 Nullfire. He actually buys a Mighty Blade here. I was going to say, was he going to maybe upgrade that first or just simply get the Mighty Blade into the Shrunken? Doesn't need the Nullfire upgrade necessarily, at least until you're lower on charges perhaps. But the fact that he has that now, they're going to group up as a team. So talking about that coordination, of course, Ophelia helped lead in the charge here. Showing Ophelia's touch. She has the Astrolabe, a lot of presence there. Level 6 Empath as well. Again, with that as one, being able to jump inside, ideally Nighthound. Pretty big. So BMG, they're going to lose this bottom tower. I don't see them putting any kind of defense up. Rhapsody has a TP, right? Yeah. She is right now. She actually goes to the middle lane. So a little bit of counter push attempting, at least, here to be had. Pharaoh in the middle lane. As you see the top lane also being pushed out by Dr. Repulsor in the meantime, so trying to do a little bit of trade here for their favor. How about Dr. Repulsor, though? I mean, he actually went the Glowstone, now he buys the Arcana, so maybe a change of heart there as far as what he wanted, or just simply for the stats for the time being, but going to be going the Hellflower now, it looks like. And that does seem like it's a pretty good item pickup against a Nighthound.
Yeah, because, I mean, they need to lock down this Nighthound. I mean, they did actually take the Tier 1 tower, which I sort of said they should do, because they should keep trying to keep the map control. At the moment, BMG can't team fight, and don't know that. They keep on pushing on. They got the initial early lead because of that, their rotation mid, and they just sort of seem sort of rolling from then on, and BMG can't really sort of team fight. They don't have really the items to do that. They got no any kind of items really in terms of BMG, except maybe Arcana on Dr. Pulse, and that's just not enough. They've got Astrolabe here on Ophelia, Portal Key on Magnus, as well as the Energizer and Nullfire Blade on Dawn. They've got all their core items ready to go, and BMG just don't. They are going to try and split push here. It's most likely going to be a Tier 2 mid and a Tier 1 top, so at least that's sank there for BMG. But the fact of the matter is that Nighthound needs to get locked down. He needs to get controlled. Look, they're actually trying to iron up Conga right now, and for a 570 GPM Nighthound with a token as well, like, it's going to be a long time before they can actually lock him down and even get the first kill on him.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think the best way to sort of actually go around this Nighthound would actually be through Pharaoh. Actually, the Lister, actually, Parasite might be in a little bit of trouble, actually.
He is. I mean, obviously, no magic damage. Pounce, he couldn't get it off, though, yeah. Yeah, he was definitely in some trouble. Oh, Pounce would have worked, definitely, but I think he was just out of line of sight right there. Now if you get the net, actually, he needs to get out. So, yeah, and all of a sudden, Parasite in a little bit of trouble. Magnus does it as well. So, Tanka fed overstaying his welcome. And he will get picked off. I was actually going to mention, too, before that happened even, that Parasite, he actually has a level 2 puzzle box on the courier right now. So, and I don't know if he's purposely just hasn't delivered it yet or what, but he got the level 1 maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago. Then he upgraded to level 2, and so maybe he just didn't want to show it for whatever. I don't think that's why he really cared that much to show, but I don't know if it would have helped him there, sure, but it's still kind of curious that he hadn't delivered it yet. But anyways, point being, he will have that when he gets on the laser, but this is going to be a Conquer kill now. Nighthound, of course, going to pick it up. And we'll see where they go from here. Yeah, this is definitely just turning into so much momentum. I mean, the lead isn't crazy. It's only 6,000, 4,000 experience, but it seems like Don's continues to be in a very good spot here. And just their coordination, it really seems on the ball, too.
Yeah, it does. And it almost feels like they know exactly how to play around this Nighthound. Like, it's the first pickup, obviously, they've played in terms of competitive, but they know how to play it. And ProBuster obviously was kept on talking about how Nighthound is a big hero, it's a use hero, but people don't really use it. And clearly it's shown, and it's working here now. But going back to how they need to lock down this Nighthound, they need to get a perfect initiation onto him with the Wrath of the Pharaoh, and then from there, obviously use the final chapter, so to make him reveal, and then from there just try and burst him down, lock him down. He doesn't have that much HP, only 1,200, but the only factor is that BMG, they don't have that kind of burst potential outside of the Parasite. And this goes back to obviously Vindicator not being maybe like a mid-initiate, like your Pebbles and like your Ravenor. And it's just not the same really. Maybe in the next 10-15 minutes it might be better, it might be different, it might be better. But at the moment they are struggling. But they do need to lock down there and control this Nighthound because it's getting out of control at the moment.
Yeah, you see right there, a little bit of damage coming out, but not going to let it phase him too much. And he has a token, obviously. And you look at the Abyssal Skull buff working too. Obviously Ophelia has that, and Nighthound's taking advantage with that lifesteal. So he's taking out all the creeps and getting all that life back. A good job by the team as well, letting him do so. Not hitting the creeps themselves. Into the tower, Empath inside, and you see BMG, they're like, all right, yeah, we're just going to let them have it, not worth the fight. That is the last outer tower destroyed with that said. So, Robust going to finish off the last of the creep wave here, then definitely fall back, it looks like. In the end, you see Magnus going to bottom lane to push back that the best that he can. Now, Dr. Repulsor, clearly the Hellflower pickup on him, I think, is going to be the big pickup for our Legion side, as level 3 puzzle box now finished by Tankafed. Again, he's actually managed to have a very good farm game. 0-1-0 though. It's one of those games where it's like it's a parasite. So part of me is like, okay, he's getting great GPM. He has a level 3 puzzle box now, but it's parasite with 0 kills and 0 assists at 21 minutes into the game. That's got to be a little concerning.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit concerning, but at the same matter, like, what else can they do? They can't really team fight at the moment because, Dawn, they've got all the items they need. They're a little bit too scary at the moment for BMG to really rotate in. And, I mean, they're actually closing in on their sort of items. Actually, Dr. Repulsor.
Yeah, he kind of gets caught out here. You see Nighthound coming up with the flank now. They don't have any bound eye or anything like that. Do they even have dust? They do not. In fact, Vindicator could have been chopped right here. Smoke Cloud just a little bit too late. Probably wouldn't matter anyways as he got tableted. They're going to cut off, though, the Vagabond Leader Parasite. Great wall from Empath again. And yes, Parasite's going to fall. He even face sucks at the last second, but was not to be. So the puzzle box minion's going to be picked off. Nighthound needs to be careful. That could do a lot of damage. Oh my god! Pharaoh goes in, but he hits the creep. And now Magnus with the counter the option. It was a bait trap all along. Rhapsody with the protective melody. She gets a lot of mitigation. She falls shortly after. Token of life is going to be used. Pharaoh goes down, though. And Nighthound's back, ready to go. Full life and full mana. I was going to say, I was like, I think he's underestimating the potential of that explosion. And it almost actually killed him right off the bat.
Well, it's working out.
But it worked out in the end.
He had token, and that sort of baited the 2 or 3 heroes that they needed to have to actually push on. If they get wrecked now, this is so big. Like, we talked about map control and how useful that Nighthound can take. Actually, Vindicator.
Oh no, Vindicator's. I mean, that's just a last-ditch effort. I think he used a final chapter, and I don't know if that was intended or not with the communication there, but they call GG. We have a 22-minute victory for Dawn, it looks like. I mean, they're still flying around, but yeah, that is definitely going to do it. So GG, well played. Dawn takes game 1. What is happening with Cycle 4? Is this the cycle of Dawn?
Mate,
is the dawn of a new era upon us?
Breaking. There's so many upsets. Like, I don't know if it's like Halloween or something, but there's some spooky stuff that's going around here, man. Like, so many upsets, so many weird stuff, man. Like, I don't know. It's just so random. Like, obviously, BMG losing one game to to Dorm. Obviously, Tree losing, who has cycled 2 champions like every single cycle practically. Oh, I just don't know, man. This must be Halloween.